Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Psychic Medium Raymond Guzman, and today I'm going to be doing a celebrity mediumship psychic reading on Dr. Sebi. Now, for those of you that would be tuning in who are not aware of who Dr. Sebi was, he was a naturopathic doctor, herbalist, and he had supposedly the cure for AIDS, cancer, and other diseases. Whereas in America, he was from Honduras, by the way, Honduran. Here in America, we have the Federal Drug Administration, the FDA, and we have the American Board of Medical Association. They didn't hold Dr. Sebi in a good light. They had suspected that maybe he was, a fraud. So they brought charges against him, and in a court of law, I'm just giving you the backstory so those of you that would be listening would kind of know who he is and what he had to go through. And so the judge, asked him to bring one person to testify on his behalf, that they had been cured. Well, he got at least around 70 or more people, and then he was dismissed. Those charges were all dismissed. The surroundings of his death, supposedly he got into Honduran custody, and he was held there for several days. And during that time, he developed quote unquote pneumonia, and he died. When he got to the hospital, they said that en route to the hospital, that he had died mysteriously, from pneumonia. He had gotten that, but I'm going to be covering what I see in the reading for him, what is coming through, the messages from his soul, from my spirit guides, and see what really was going on at the time. So the first thing that I see when I tune into him, just like I did when I did the reading for Lisa Left Eye Lopez, the TLC member that passed away. You look into Dr. Sebi's eyes, you can tell that he is someone that is very, very intuitive. So apart from being a healer, because in modern terms, in spirituality, he would be considered a healer. He is a healer. He was a healer. He also had a strong intuitive ability to read people and discernment to know who was, good, who was bad, and who was coming to him. But I feel like he had a very big, generous heart, and he wanted to genuinely help people. He wasn't someone that was just like, taking money from people without giving them a cure and actually curing them. Because, compared to today's medical system, these, hospitals and doctors, they charge you an arm and a leg, and we never get cures. We only get like temporary band-aids put on our conditions, or our situations, unless you go through surgery. Now, I'm not, talking bad about doctors, because obviously we need them and they do, help cure people. We would be in a bad case if we didn't have doctors at all. But what I'm saying is not really the doctors that I'm going after, more so the drugs that they are making that are synthetic. These it's almost like poison that we're putting into our bodies, and that's what Dr. Sebi was all about, not using traditional pharmaceutical medicine, but rather using the herbs, like spices and herbs, and following more of an alkaline diet. And he believed that eating meat, dead animals, meat, any meat, red meat, shellfish, poultry, all of this that we take into our body prevents our body from healing. Because supposedly what he had said was that we are able to heal. We're able to heal our own bodies from diseases. Our bodies can heal itself, but we have to sustain it with more of an alkaline diet, more vegan, plant-based diet. And again, a lot of people may not agree. I'm not a vegan myself. I don't follow that. From time to time, I do eat, just vegan food from time to time, on certain days. But I do still eat meat. I'm guilty of that too. But I guess everybody has their own concern. No one makes it out alive. and that's the thing that I'm going to say here. No one makes it out alive from this reality that we live in. We all die at a certain age, regardless. But what he was about was not really providing a cure to stop death, but to maybe prolong it. Prolong your life, and more healthy. The more healthier you are, the longer it's thought that you can live. And I feel like that's what he was sent here. He had a very important public mission here on earth, and that was to provide healing to the masses and elevate consciousness. And he did that. He made people start saying, hey, these pharmaceutical companies are all about just selling their medicine and selling it very high, and it's not really curing people. And he found cures. Do I believe that he actually cured people? Yes, I do. I really do. And do I believe that there are cures out there for cancer, AIDS? Yes, there are cures. There's people that medical doctors or scientists or medical science will probably say that, well, if you have something like AIDS, you can it'll just be dormant, even though it doesn't come up as HIV, positive or negative. But whatever the situation is, I don't feel like it's that. I feel like there are cures to curing these diseases. When you start comparing the statistics of the life expectancy of a lot of these people that live like in Costa Rica, in Honduras, in different parts of the world that are considered like the blue zones of the world, where they have a lot of lush vegetation, and they mainly are on a vegan type of diet, a plant-based diet or alkaline diet. A lot of these people do tend to live longer. They don't tend to have those countries don't tend to have obesity like we have here in America. They don't tend to have a lot of issues, health issues like we have here in America. Our primary, things are cancer, heart attacks, obesity, obviously diabetes. You don't tend to see a lot of that, and he had cures for a lot of this. And his teachings, I feel like there was a lot of people. What he's telling me is that there was people that were undercover that were coming to him, to his village, to where he lived, and he was practicing, claiming that they were sick or whatnot, to kind of observe and see what he was doing. So there was people that were infiltrating his area, pretending to be sick, and maybe they were sick to a certain point, but they were also trying to steal his ideas and steal the cures and take that back with them, and then kind of set him up and say that he was a fraud. People, just like with psychics and mediums, when people don't understand your ability or understand where you're coming from, they will always consider you or call you a fraud, a fake, a phony, because they don't have what you have. Not everyone has these certain abilities that another person has. We are all uniquely created, and that is what he was trying to show people as well, that even though they may not understand the science behind it or the principle behind it, that there were cures that existed in this world, and he helped people. But there was a lot of people that were jealous of him. Pharmaceutical companies were not happy with him because they're losing out money if people are getting cures. There's not people buying their medicine, buying the pills, or going to the hospitals, needing treatment, because they are realizing that they are healthier. I feel like the Honduran people, they didn't like the fact that he had money. The people like the police department get a lot of crookedness out of. There's a lot of corruption in that government of Honduras, that city. The police department, the ones that detain him, they're very greedy. They wanted his money, and I feel like they did take that money that he had with him. They didn't like the fact that he had money, and they didn't. Very greedy. A lot of drugs going down there. People would call him a brujo, someone that is considered like a witch doctor in many ways. And that's a term that I feel like is kind of insulting, because I feel like beyond that, he was very much a healer. which there's nothing wrong being called a witch doctor at all. Um, but for him, I don't feel like he was really a witch doctor. He was someone who specialized in healing, but did he know practices, spiritual practices, that delved in more like the, um, in like hoodoo and stuff like that? Yes, he certainly did. I would say he did know, and he did have visions. He had visions of things before they happened. He had the gift of clairvoyance. He definitely had that. What I'm getting from him is that there was a female that was definitely someone he had feelings for. Now I know that he was married, or he was with someone. Uh, but what I'm getting from his soul, though, is like a weird situation where there was someone else that he had a feelings for, and she was light skinned. So I don't know if there was problems in his marriage at one time, but what I am getting, there was definitely something going on with someone else that he became very fond of. I almost feel like this would be someone that's Caucasian in many ways, that would have come down to his village to visit him, because there was a lot of people that came. But what I'm getting is that he was definitely backstabbed. This was his death was not out of pneumonia. That's a lie. It's a fabrication. He was murdered, and he was murdered for to hush him up and to stop the pharmaceutical companies had this all planned with Hondurans. I feel like the Honduran police department was paid. That's what I'm getting, is that they were paid by people here in the USA that have a lot of money, that wanted them to carry it out to basically get rid of him. That's why I see a lot of lies around this, around a gentleman there in the Honduran city. A lot of lies, and I get a lot of manipulation. But him dying from pneumonia, that's ridiculous, because this man lived a healthy lifestyle. He was not obese. You could tell that in his interviews that he had done, which were very little, because he didn't like doing a lot of them. He was healthy. You could tell he was coherent. He didn't have the appearance of being someone that was sick. Very strong-willed man, and I feel like this is all, like, no one believes it to this day. No one believes that he died from pneumonia. I mean, who develops pneumonia out of nowhere just being detained? No, he was killed. He was definitely killed. How he was killed, I feel like, he was he was given some kind of, I want to say poison too, but also beaten. I feel like there was definitely some kind of a blow to the head. I really do feel that. That would have cost it. A lot of people have where it's not that very, very visible. Like, there's pressure points near the pituitary gland, somewhere around there. I'm not very familiar with that, but there are ways that if you hit it so hard in that area, that person can die, or they can stop oxygen. But he was definitely poisoned, and I feel like he didn't want to eat anything when he was detained. He wouldn't trust anything that they were trying to give him and feed him, because again, he had a very special diet that he was on. So he wouldn't have starved, but I feel like he wouldn't have necessarily eaten. He wasn't a fool to eat the things that they were trying to give him. I do get that he is okay. He's definitely all right. I do feel like there is some anger when he first transitioned over, and and he's saying that there are going to be other people who have his teachings, who know how to cure people, because I feel like he did prepare people to carry out his teachings, and know there's people out here that know the cures. They are going to be coming forth. But in the last couple of years, there has been a lot of mysterious deaths of naturopathic doctors, and it is believed that there is and here in the U.S. that there is some people that are in the higher positions within our structure government, that are eliminating a lot of these doctors, because these naturopathic or holistic doctors that have cures are been known to cure, because again, they pose a potential threat to the pharmaceutical companies. So Yeah, this is a very sad situation with what's going on now. Dr. Sebi is also saying that we are going to see the fall down, or the breakup of the FDA, of the Federal Drug Administration. It may not be right now, but sooner or later there are going to be cures that come out to the public that will be exposed, and more people are going to start seeing a greater life expectancy. And I think a lot of people would think, when they listen to this, that, oh, well, it's because, our way of living and the technology that we would be living longer, and that's not the case. It's going to be a shift in our DNA, is from what he's saying. Um, there's something about, even if you still eat meat, but only in moderation, and eat more of a plant-based diet, there's something that activates within the DNA structures and the cells. And I'm not trying to get into the medical or be very technical about it, but there is a DNA strand that a lot of us that have our consciousness awakened, we're spiritually awakened, that DNA structure has activated. For me, when I went through my spiritual awakening and after my near-death experience, and that whole process, there was a time period I remember very fondly that I craved vegetables, and I craved nothing but like lettuce and plant-based. My diet for a long time was plant-based or vegan for a while. When I would eat meat, like poultry, like chicken in particular, whether it was thighs or breast or drumsticks, legs, I couldn't eat the meat. I could taste all the hormones and the chemicals in the meat itself, and I just couldn't eat it. And so I know that for a fact that that is something that, is killing Americans. It's killing people. We are the country that has the largest rate of obesity and diseases. And if you go to other countries, you don't see anyone with a gut. Most people, I'm not saying that that's the case for everyone, but there's so many people in other countries like China and Asia, and even Europe, that are very fit, or they're at least they're more thinner than a lot of us here in America. And so many people blame, people that are obese, because, I'm considered obese myself, and I'm working on losing the weight to be healthier myself. But it's an uphill battle, and I'm not ashamed to come out on air and say that, it is an uphill battle. And a lot of people will say, well, it's because you're not exercising, you're just eating, and you're not, eating healthy, or you're not exercising. And it's not the case. You can eat, a lot of the majority of people that are obese, they are eating moderately, and moderately to healthy, but they cannot lose the weight. And a lot of this is attributed to the hormones and chemicals that are being put in our food. It's basically poisoning ourselves. When these animals that are going into these farm, the farms that are they have these animals like these cows and chickens. They're pumping them full of hormones and chemicals in their food and in their body, so that they can grow bigger and have more meat. It's a level of greed, and at the same time, it's creating bad karma here on Earth. When you look at like our ancestors, like the baby boomer generation, when they were growing up, the plants, food didn't last that long. Now, they want food to last longer, so they've added all these preservatives and things like that. Back then, you wouldn't see a lot of frozen dinners, and you wouldn't see in the 50s, 60s, there wasn't a lot of that. It was more meat, and it only lasted a couple of days, and things only lasted a couple of days before it went bad. And that's kind of the thing. We've grown into this greediness, and it's all about greed. And Dr. Sebi wasn't about that. He really did want to cure people. But like going back to what I was saying, he is saying that there are going to be people that are carrying out his mission, and sooner or later there is going to be someone that has evidence that to what I'm saying today, and to what many people are saying and know for a fact, that he was murdered. It is going to come out. There is going to be some more of Dr. Sebi. We haven't heard the last of it. but people that hear his name is very well respected, and he's grateful for that. That, regardless of what happened to him, what they did to him, they can never take away his reputation as being a true healer. He is in every way, a healer. And a lot of the Native Americans also had a lot of these healings. They knew, of herbs and things that can heal. But as our consciousness has, as our world is growing, and as the time goes by, a lot of the consciousness is being suppressed, and a lot of these healthy remedies and stuff like that are not being used. And it's like we have everyday herbs that can help us, if we were to turn to them. There's a lot of herbs that are not even known. He does have a website, I believe, that you can go to and order some of his products, which after this reading, I'm going to go and check it out. I didn't want to check it out prior to doing the reading, but I know there's a website for him. And it's a website of his products, I believe, of what he would, recommend for different cures. You should definitely check that out. I will tell you that he was the real deal. He was very legit. And it's sad that this happened to him, because I feel like if he was to have lived a little bit longer, he would have actually, I really feel like, would have made more headlines. He would have definitely pushed through with cures. And this was something, again, that I'm hearing him say that the pharmaceutical companies just couldn't have. They didn't want it. So pay attention to deaths that come out in your paper of naturopathic doctors that are very young, that are just mysterious deaths or out of the blue. Because it is happening, and it is very real. I know from what I'm getting from Dr. Sebi, and I don't know, but there are a lot of healthy vegetation plants, like kale is one of them. Algae. I don't know if people can eat algae, but I'm hearing algae is another one that is a very good herb. There's also leaf like spinach, cabbage, and there's some other herbs, cinnamon, cardamom, and saffron, I believe that's what it's called. But there's different herbs and things like that people can use that do help alleviate. Garlic is even good too. It's just a matter of looking into a lot of these herbs that we have in our pantry, everyday, herbs, and cooking the foods in a certain way, eliminating all the grease, the fat, fried foods. Those are just not good. Like myself, like I said, I have weight issues that I'm working on. I don't even eat fried food at all. When I go and cook, I don't, and I use more olive oil than vegetable oil, and it's usually better, olive oil. But there's some people that would debate that maybe coconut oil is better, or black seed oil. There's just different things that you can use and look into. But yeah, Dr. Sebi was definitely a very beautiful soul, someone that is going to be remembered. I do feel like he does have his soul is at rest, but it is working with people here now in the physical world, future healers, and he's working almost like an ascended master would. I do feel like this was his last lifetime. He's not going to reincarnate, but rather work as an ascended master on the other side, helping people here in the physical world that are potential light workers and healers, to guide them to these cures and guide and elevate the consciousness. And that's what he's going to be doing. That's what I see, and that's what I hear from him. So just a beautiful, beautiful man. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in. If there's anyone else that you would like for me to do a psychic reading on, you can just comment in the comment section below. I'm still going to be doing Nicole's and O.J. Simpson, that case, Erica Badu, Natalie Holloway, Kendrick Lamar, Inyala Vanzant, and Bob Marley, and among some other people that y'all have requested as well. So stay tuned for those. That's going to be coming this coming week. And I am working also on getting the February monthly horoscopes done. So blessings and love and light. Oh, and don't forget to submit your one question to my Tea with Spirit show, because that is coming back within about 2 more weeks. In the month of February, I launch it again. It's going to be season 2. So if you have one question that's spiritual in nature, be very specific. You can email it to me at raymondguzman@hotmail.com. In the subject line of your email, put Tea with Spirit, and then in the body of your email, again, ask your specific question, be very specific, and then add an alias, include an alias, because if you're, I do 5 people a week from all over the world that submit these questions. And I'm going to be, if your question is selected, I'm going to be reading it on air. But due to confidentiality purposes, I do not want to read, I will not read your real name. So if you don't want to include like an alias or a fake name for me to read out loud, if your question is selected, you can just put anonymous, and I'll just read it as an anonymous and know that you want me to do that. Again, you can email that to raymondguzman@hotmail.com. A lot of you that are tuning in that have been asking if I do private readings other than celebrity or mediumship readings for celebrities. Yes, I read everyday people. You can go to my website. It's listed here on the screen. It's also linked below here in the description box below. It's www.raymondguzman.net/shop. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Psychic Medium Ray. That is my Instagram handle. Also, if you haven't gone to my website, you may want to go to my website and subscribe to my website as well, because I do send out mass emails to all of my subscribers regarding any sales, promotions, any giveaways that I do have, because I do have giveaways that I don't necessarily announce here on YouTube, but they are giveaways, for clients and stuff like that. So, oh, and then my book, Starseed Footsteps. If you haven't picked up a copy, go ahead and pick up a copy on my website if you want it autographed. If not, you can order it from Amazon or BarnesandNoble.com, and it's called Starseed Footsteps. Blessings and love and light. Have an amazing day.